Hello, everyone. I'm 𝐀𝐒𝐂𝐄𝐍𝐒 Mystic, and welcome to this very special episode of Ascension Organites with Carla. But first, let me introduce my co-host for tonight. It's the beautiful Janine. You can find her at Tarot by Janine and also here at Sending Ravens. Janine, welcome back to the show.
Hey, good to be here.
Excited to have you on. And of course, our first time guest to the show, the lovely Carla, the lady behind the new pyramids. You can find her at Ascension Organites here on Instagram. Carla, welcome to the Beyond Mystic audience.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you on, and we apologize for the scheduling snafu we had last Friday, but we're here now. It's what counts. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here tonight on this live interactive show. It's going to be a short show, maybe 20 or 30 minutes, but we'll get into the crux of the matter here and how all of this amazing synchronicity got us all together here. So let me first start by saying, well, welcome to everyone, but welcome to you, Carla. And I have to say, I get thousands of emails, as you know, and 99% of the times, people who want to come in on the show or give products to the show, I just don't even have time to read them, let alone respond to them. But for some reason, your email stuck out to me, and I had to read it. I was just like, no, stop, JC, read this email. So I read this email. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that's interesting. There's more here. And I responded to you, okay, I want to hear more here. And as we went on, I agreed, oh, yeah, we need to work. Like Janine was saying this on the show the other day about somebody else, actually about Sherry Divban, and how she was like automatically tuned in that, yes, she had to work with her. Well, I had the same feeling for you. And then I found out after I said yes that you were connected also with Sherry and this Alpha Centauri message and all that. So let me start by asking you, Carla, the first time guest question here on my show. And it goes like this. How did universe conspire to get you to doing the work you're doing today? Let's start there.
Okay, so I know you like to start by asking childhood, right?
Sure. And people always skip over it, so I'm guessing you're going to start there. Good.
Yeah, well, childhood, I really have not much to say. I didn't have any contact or anything like that. I was just a very introverted, shy kid, very quiet. But I always had a feeling of not belonging. I always had a feeling of being like the outsider, never really went with the crowd. So instead of getting rebellious or fighting, that was just like, I went inside and I just like shy, quiet. You could barely get a word out of me. So I was a very quiet kid. I guess fast forward, I spent all my life like that. Like I went through the motions, went to school, everything like that. I've never been really religious or anything like that. So I never really connected to anything. I did go to a Catholic school, but I always knew something was wrong. Like I always knew things did not make sense to me how they were explaining to me. So we migrated to the U.S. because I come from a different country, and that I guess how did I start making pyramids? You want me to like fast forward?
Well, making pyramids would be considered stepping into the woo. So my question usually is, well, where did you step into the woo in this lifetime of yours?
Well, I think I got activated in stages. It wasn't like I've been in this process for a while. I think at the end of by the beginning of 2014, I have gotten out of like a very toxic relationship, and something clicked in me, and I started understanding like the power of words and thoughts and positivity and how the universe works. So I started implementing that and changing my mentality and how I saw life, and things were in a matter of 6 months, I changed my life completely. So I ended up like meeting the love of my life, and then fast forward, I got married. And when I became pregnant, everything sort of like stopped, and pregnancy was very traumatic. I ended up having my kid very early. He was born really, really early. So we had to spend time in the hospital. It was very traumatic, but that experience actually like made me, I think that's what activated me, because I started asking questions, and I started like, why did this happen? And it took me down a path of a lot of things to understanding like everything else. And then by last year, 2020, when all this thing started, and I incorporated like everything else that's going on in the world and like that. So it's been a process of like at least 6 years or so.
Okay, very good. Well, that's a good start. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Let me bring Janine on. When Janine and I were going back and forth of, deciding if we wanted to bring somebody else new on the show, I said to her, I said, I have this feeling that Carla has a galactic connection of sorts, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And of course, I shared to her one of your pages, and she looked at you and she says, "Oh yeah, big hug." Do you want to maybe pull some cards on that first? Maybe let the audience know what your first reaction was to this lovely young woman, and then also let's pull some cards and see what perhaps those connections might be from a galactic standpoint.
Well, like you said, that original picture you showed me of her was absolutely off otherworld energy to it, for sure. So has anyone ever told you that, Carla, before?
No, I do know a little bit about my, like, well, okay, how should I say this? Last year, I learned how to access my Akashic records and like my own story. I learned how to, I always say that I remembered how to do it because I think that we all know how to do this, but we forgot. So I remember and I learned how to channel and like how to connect with my higher self. And I asked that question. I asked, where do I come from? And the answer was always, you're not from here. You're from a different galaxy. You're from a different place. But I have been on Earth and like doing several lifetimes for a long time. Oops, sorry.
Okay. I get
but I don't know
down.
exactly where I come from. Like I never got a name. I never got like something specific.
I'm getting something pretty specific here.
All right.
So your mother was originally pregnant with a human child, and you replaced that child early on in the process.
Wow.
So that child agreed to step out, and you stepped in.
Janine, are you talking about the term that some people use as walk-ins? But this, of course, a consensual walk-in where one soul moves out of the way to let another soul come and occupy the vehicle at childhood? Is that what you're describing here?
I don't feel like walk-ins would be the child would have already been born.
Yeah, she means like in the womb, right?
In the womb.
Yeah.
They made an agreement, and she occupied instead.
Okay.
Yeah, because she was meant to be here. Okay, so we got the King of Pentacles and the same. Yeah, and she most of her childhood she wasn't activated.
No, it's true.
And once she was, though, it was like it was all on. It just went from nothing to
everything. Yes,
it just clicked on, and it was all there, just waiting. It was just waiting to be tapped into.
Let me ask you a supplemental here, because we're going to get into the story of how Sherry, Carla, and all of us are connected here. But was it perhaps one of her main mission, Carla here, to give birth to, I'll say Eden for now until you explain the rest of the story here, Carla. Was that possibly why that agreement was made here?
Absolutely. I was getting to that.
Yes.
This young warrior. So he's a male.
Yes, he's a male.
Yeah, and we got a young male, like energetically a male warrior. Okay, so part of it she was put in place to also to carry through and bring that boy here.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense because ever since I was a little kid, all I wanted to do was be a mother. And people would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'll be a mother. I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be a mom.
Okay, I get something else really interesting. So I'm not trying to be scary or anything. But if the dark side knew, there's a reason your son is the way he is. It protects him from these guys. So he's in some kind of protection mode.
Okay.
Like undercover.
Yeah, he's undercover right now. And he's working in an undercover way here with his energies. And they had to hide him energetically. Wow. So he's a healer. So he's doing some kind of vibrational work with the earth, but they had to hide him somehow. So his light wouldn't shine as bright as it is. It does shine, but they've made it so the bad guys can't see it.
Wow.
How do you feel?
Sorry, Jay. I actually had someone tell me that once when he was very little. that his light was so bright that I had to be careful from people not stealing it or try to steal it. So I've always had like protection around the house and things like that ever since he was very little.
Fascinating. Well, here's a good point, Carla, to bring in the story here of how you were watching my show, then met Sherry, and how you connected through her services. So to the extent that you're comfortable sharing the information, again, I'll let you decide how much you want to share with the audience here. But maybe dive into that connection a little bit here between Sherry, yourself, and Eden.
Well, yeah, I've been watching Sherry for a while, and everything that she's been saying about kids really resonated with the way that my son is. And obviously, I didn't contact her because I wanted to know why. He's nonverbal, like she mentioned. And I didn't want to know why he wasn't talking. I didn't have an issue with that. I kind of understood why. I knew it had a purpose. But I felt him very frustrated and angry all the time. So I wanted to check in with her and ask her, what can I do to make him feel better? What can I change around the house to make him feel better? And that was what the session was about, really. And then when she connected with him, she brought in the message, and it like took us all by surprise. I didn't expect. My son is normal. I don't know. It's just a regular boy. The only thing is he doesn't talk. So I kind of took a while to assimilate the message and all of that. But the whole session with her, she basically made me understand that his frustration wasn't because he couldn't talk or couldn't communicate. He was communicating all the time. His frustration was that we were not understanding him. Mm-hmm. So being able to channel and connect with my higher self helped me connect with him, because now I can, when he wants something, I can intuitively know. And it's almost like I'm connecting with him. Telepathically, you could say, but it's not like we're having a conversation telepathically. I just know what he needs and I know what he wants all the time. Mm-hmm. And ever since the session with Sherry, he's a different kid. He's super calm. It's almost like he was so anxious to get something out, and then he got it out, and it's anxiety away. And now he's calm and just regular kid.
Well, that's interesting. Sherry's in the chat here, and she's saying, hey, don't share his real name. So again, I keep referring to Eden here for our storyboard. Now, very quickly for the audience who may not have seen Sherry's video on the Alpha Centauri message, can you break that down maybe in the next 1 minute here? What was the crux of that message that Eden was trying to convey to humanity? Or how did you perceive that message?
Well, the first part was mainly with us and the telepathy. I think he wanted us. The reason why he's nonverbal is he chose to come to not speak right now, and it's because he wants everyone around him, including me, his parents, his family, to connect with him from the heart and connect with him telepathically. And the other side was that he was actually giving, I guess, information or status of how things are going around the world. But I don't know. I don't even know what to think about that.
There was a lot in there to digest. Maybe here we can bring the cards in. What do you think, Janine? Can we pull some cards to maybe re-explain a little bit or reposition that message about this new race of humans basically coming on board here? You and I were talking to Sherry on Friday on the Teaching Children episode, and we were kind of pointing to the time frame of 2027 and 2030, maybe as a general time frame, where we're going to have this new species of humans come up, where telepathy and being much more connected is going to change the way we do things. And perhaps kids like Carla's kids here are leading the way to show us how to bridge that gap between the species that's here now and the one that's coming. What can you maybe glean from the cards on that one? My big yes.
I think you nailed it there, the way you described it. And I feel like his frustration, to further kind of go there, was that he needed that message to a big audience. So he found Sherry. Somehow he led his mom to Sherry.
Yes,
consciously or unconsciously or somehow. So she's part of it because she's speaking, or she spoke it out, something he couldn't do. She brought the message to a large audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why he's feeling better, because it was a big part of his mission to get those words out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So he was waiting a really long time to get the words out to describe what's coming in particular, his future. So, because I mean, he's the younger one of all of us, obviously, right? So he's going to be a bigger part of that future. It's going to be good for him.
That's fascinating. Folks, just as a quick update, Sherry, Janine and I did this video on Saturday, and for some reason, her PayPal link to donate to her endeavors here to create these new educational structures for kids wasn't working properly. So I've redone the link here below the video and in the description, and also in the pinned chat for both Janine and my video. So if you're emailing me still asking, hey, how come that's not working, that link is now fixed. And of course, I do recommend you go watch this Alpha Centauri message and to subscribe to Sherry as well. So similar to that, Janine, let me ask you this too. In the same way that Carla was directed to Sherry here through Eden, I was also connected to Carla and you here for some reason. Like that email out of the thousands stood out and I needed to take care of it. And what I got from message, and I want clarity from the cards, was that because of her galactic background, I'm under the impression, or the inner knowing I got, like the drop of information I got, was that Carla is creating pyramids differently than other people who are doing these organite pyramids. And I'm not talking about the process of, doing all the artwork itself, but something energetically she's doing different. So I'm curious what the cards would have to say to that. And of course, I think this is why she's going to connect with a lot of our audience members here. What can the cards tell us?
I'd say yes. Having one looks like it'll speed up energetically. So it speeds everything up. So whatever she's putting into it, it speeds up the process of shifting energy.
That's my intention. Yeah. When I make them.
So her having it around you is going to, whatever it's representing, it's going to move that quicker into your life. Or if it's taking things away, it'll move it away from you quicker. Like it speeds everything up. And she's made an agreement, even though she may not even be aware. And she's been in contact with where she's from. That's you, Carla, where you're from. And you're in contact, and they're channeling so they're channeling through you to do these with you.
Wow.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah,
now I'm showing on the screen here the last two pyramids that were given away during the last live chats. Now, Carla and I were in contact with the winners through emails. Did they get back to you? Do you have the mailing addresses, everything you need, Carla?
Not the first one actually. So the winner of Gaia hasn't gotten back to me with the address.
So this one was this one here. Okay.
That one. Yeah, Gaia, the blue one.
Okay, so you're still looking for that one to respond to you?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're watching the show, watch your spam folders. You might have an email both from either myself or from Carla. We're trying to reach you here to get your mailing address to get this pyramid out to you. Now, Carla, you had a question for Janine. Why don't we move into that?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because the first time that I made the first piece that I made, I was taking her out of the mold, and all of a sudden I get in my ear screaming a name like Emilia, and I'm like, okay. Once I agreed to say, okay, I'll name you Emilia, like the screaming stopped. And most of the designs that I have, some of them aren't, but most of them, the names that I put on them, obviously I needed a name to like tell apart the designs, but most of the names have been I either dreamed them or I channel them. Gaia, actually, my mom dreamt about that one, so she gave me the name. So it's almost like the names just come to me, and I wanted to ask why that is, or what is the purpose of naming them like that. I wanted to use the divine feminine names, but the names specifically always come to me either by dreams or screaming in my ear.
Go ahead, Janine.
That's how my tree names come to me.
Yeah.
Come right in my head. There's some kind of vibration that makes them more powerful. There's some kind of vibration that, like having the name that they gave you So
Okay.
their wish and intention and intended name makes them even more powerful in their energy that they're transmuting. So they're like transmuters.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Well, Carla, talk about your Etsy shop here. I'm just scrolling it for the audience to see. Folks, let me bring that link down in the live chat. It's also in the description box below the video of both Janine and I's channel here. And as soon as we're done, we're going to pin those in the comments as well. So let's talk about how quickly you were guided to bring this together. What's the theme behind it? What's the energy behind it? And what can you tell the audience about your work?
Well, as far as like the design of them goes, I really don't think too much about it. I have like an idea of colors that I want to use, and it just comes to me while I'm making them. So I started the shop a little over 3 months ago, and it basically like, I don't know, I started getting orders right away, and I didn't even know what to do with that. So it's been amazing so far. It's like everything has aligned for me to do this. And yeah, I have different sizes. I have different like obviously different prices. And each of them has their own energy. The crystals that I use, they all have their own like purpose, obviously, because we all know how the crystals and the energies. So yeah, I was at the beginning. I was actually just playing around with it, just making whatever came to my head and whatever colors and combinations.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, and I love the 2 videos you gave us to explain the creations. I think if you do more of those also on your shop, people will resonate quite a bit. Now, tell us about the ordering process. I know this is work intensive. This is not made in China in a mold. You actually have to spend the time to make these one by one.
Yeah.
So if people are ordering now, what type of time frame are they looking for in terms of shipping and fulfillment here? I know you have some in stock, but you also make them to order. Explain that a little bit for the audience.
So I usually do make them to order. So if you buy one now, or if you order one now, you'll probably get it within I want to say a week or 2, but you know, if I get a lot of orders, then it's going to be like 2 to 3 weeks. Just because it takes, each piece takes its time, and it's not just the curing time. I have to like sit there and make sure that everything is good, and I don't want to just like make them fast to get them out. I want to spend my time and my energy on each one of them. So yeah, it takes around, I would say, if the amount of orders was big, but it takes around 2 to 3 days to make one. So that's why. Yeah.
And I have to say, your prices are very low compared to some of your competitors for the quality of product you put out there, Carla. These are absolutely amazing pieces, each and every one of them. And on top of that, I understand you put out a discount code for the Beyond Mystic audience. What is that? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's Beyond Mystic, one word in all caps, and it'll get you 10% off the order, whatever.
Beautiful.
You want to get.
All right. So before we go here, Carla, is there anything else you want to share with the audience, Janine or myself here today?
No, just thank you. Because I never could imagine when I wrote you the email, I didn't even think you were going to see it. It was just like I was shot in the dark. And the fact that we were able to connect and everything like that, to me, is amazing. So I have like so much gratitude for you and Janine and everyone. So thank you.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And how about you, Janine? Any last words of wisdom for the audience before we go? Or did you have any other questions maybe for Carla?
I'm just going to see what the universe wants to tell her.
Okay. Awesome.
Carla, do you have a business partner?
No.
Okay, you're going to get so busy. You might want to consider getting some help.
Okay.
Sooner than later. You're going to need help because you're going to be swamped. And you can't do everything. So find the areas that somebody could help you with, like maybe packaging and mailing. Shipping, find some areas that wouldn't take away from your process. That's obviously a really integral part of the product you're putting out. You're putting personal energy in, which I totally understand, but you're going to get really busy. So you're going to need a really good, fast moving helper who's really good at running errands and stuff, at least errands, and running things to the mail and whatnot.
Sourcing the materials too and all that stuff.
Yeah, good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you can stay integral to your intuitive process and putting this magic into your work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Thank you.
All right. So, folks, that's it for tonight for the Ascension Orgonite Pyramids here with Carla. Again, the link for the Etsy shop is in the description box below, as well as in the live chat here. Let me do that again. And as we're contemplating this old world that is falling apart, you know, we're always looking for new products and services to promote into this new world economy, and how better than this one compared to the commercialized version of Christmas. So I don't know. I don't know about you, but I love giving crystals to my children. So perhaps that's something you guys can try as well. So give it a try. At the same time, you're supporting somebody amazing who is absolutely supporting somebody else who's very amazing as well. And I'm talking about Eden here, whose story is only yet just beginning. And that's all I say for today. All right, folks, that was Ascension Orgonite with Carla. Thank you so much. Carla, gracias. And merci beaucoup, Janine. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Jean-Claude Mystic, and watch for the channel here a little bit later tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern. I will be live with Penny Kelly for a break in the clouds. Talk to you soon, everyone. Au revoir.
Thank you. Bye.
Au revoir.